Welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And today we are going to be doing our board game breakdown. And so we chose yet another designer. Last week was Prospero Hall. The week before that was... What was the week before that?
Phil Walker Harding.
Phil Walker Harding, that's right. And so we wanted to keep this trend up of going down different designers, ones that we both know fairly well. Well, not personally, but we know their games fairly well, and we feel like we have a decent understanding of their style. So I have a confession to make, Daniel.
Oh God. Oh God.
Yep, hear me out. So I told you I was going to look through his stuff, a lot of his games, and research it before this.
Okay.
I haven't. And I'll tell you why. I made that conscious choice. It's not because I just didn't get around to it. I legitimately chose not to because I want the surprise of going into some of the games that I don't know how to play of his. I want this excitement because right now I get a lot of excitement playing Stefan Feld's games and learning about new ones. And so I'm at the point now where I'll pretty much just go in blind, and if it says Stefan Feld and it's a game I don't have from him, I'll probably buy it.
Yeah, no, I get you on that. I'm the same way. I told you I was going into this blind because a big part of it is for our audio listeners, we screen share his BGG page. So I want to see what gets pulled up this way. I can talk about it if I own it, if I played it, if I've done it, or if I'm interested in it. If Stefan Feld, I'm interested in it. That's just how it is.
Right, exactly. So then I figure we can go kind of back and forth. I have them opened up in order of oldest to newest. So we'll be starting with his oldest games that he's known for. Hasn't been designing for too long, according to Board Game Geek. His first notable game was in, I think, 2005 or 6, which we'll be looking
2005.
2005, okay, yeah. Which was Roma, which we'll be jumping into here in a minute. But, yeah, every one of these notable games is every game he's designed. I don't think it...
Yeah, pretty much. And then on BGG, it says he has 71 games, but a lot of those are expansions to games that he has. I think there's, 8 for his big game, Castles of Burgundy, which we'll be talking about a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm at 14 with Strasbourg. Let's see here. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So I have 31 that we're going to be going over today. Which is significant, and I have not played the majority of them. I've played probably about 10 different Stefan Feld games.
Yeah, I'm around there, about 10.
Yeah, give or take. And so, yeah, we're going to have a lot to learn today, a lot to discover. He didn't really have a web page that we found immediately, so we're just going to go off of his Board Game Geek pages.
Yep.
All right, so do you want to start us off, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go ahead and start us off with Roma.
All right, let's go with Roma.
So Roma is his first notable game that I'm waiting for it to get pulled up on the screen over here.
Oh, that's fine. I'll say some stuff. 2005 by Queen Games. His first one. I can already tell by the cover that there's dice in it. Michael Menzel.
It's the way it's described as it features unique card and dice play. Players place cards at dice stations number 1 through 6. The players uses dice rolled each turn to activate dice stations to use the card that has been placed at a station. Card effects guide your tactical actions in the game through manipulating cards in play, providing money, or granting victory points. In each game of Roma, there are a fixed amount of victory points in play. Once all victory points have been collected, the player who has the most victory points wins the game. Now, apparently, there's a sequel to this that it integrates with Arena Roma 2.
Okay, yeah, which I also have pulled up here. This goes into a lot of things that I've noticed he's known for, is that, and especially with dice-based games, he doesn't give you a game where the higher you roll, if I roll an 11 and you roll a 10, I'm winning. He kind of has 6 options available, and they're all good, and your dice determine which good ability you choose. So there's always 6 options. I've noticed that's kind of an ongoing theme with his. I mean, this is already... It looks just like pretty much a card game, more or less.
It's in a sense, yeah, but What I like about this is that one of his first games was a 2-player game.
Is this a 2-player game?
Yeah, it says 2-player, best with 2, only 2.
Oh, wow. No kidding, huh? I didn't
Yeah.
realize this was only a 2-player game.
And there's another 2-player game that we both played later on in the list that we both really enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. And right off the bat, Spiel des Jahres recommended, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Golden
Golden
Geek.
Geek Best 2-Player Board Game nomination.
Wow. And?
The 2005 International Gamers Award General Strategy for 2 players.
Well, you know what? I'm in already. So now you're going to see me go right over here. I'm going to add to collection and put it on my wish list because I want this game now.
Because it has the Spiel des Jahres on it, and it's Stefan Feld.
And
it's like a double whammy for you.
Yeah, that's already a double whammy. I mean, that's awesome. So that's on my wish list now. Let's go on to the next one. That is Rum and Pirates by Alea, and you'll see a lot of games coming from Alea and Stefan Feld. But this one has one of the darkest covers, from what I can tell. It looks pretty neat. Let's see what it's about.
It looks Alea games, let me tell you.
Yeah, like a dark, uncomfortable, like brown that's hard for colorblind folk like ourselves.
Yeah. Hey, there's minis in it.
Yeah. Oh, is there? Let's see.
Yeah, if you go to some of the pictures, there's like little plastic minis.
Oh, no kidding, huh? Yeah, Rum and Pirates is a relatively simple movement and collection game, known in German as Umrum. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Und
Yeah. For rum, renown, and honor. That's funny. The game was designed by Stefan Feld, 2 to 5 players, ages 9 and up, and plays in 60 to 75 minutes. A complexity scale of 1 to 10, game rates a 2. Huh, wow. Same complexity as Chinatown. I haven't played any of those, but a ranking of 2, that's really low, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Taking the roles of freebooters who back their pirate hideouts, spend their time with all kinds of competitions, drinking, fighting, etc. All players move the main figure. Oh, okay. Wait, moving one figure across the board, kind of like a roll and move. We've seen this somewhere before, which we'll be talking about later.
Yep. So, notable awards I'm looking at here is the 2007 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game nominee, as well as the 2006 Kinderspielexperten, I'm sorry for butchering that, 8 to 13-year-olds nominee. So, I didn't even know there was an 8 to 13-year-old nominations. I knew the Kidder, I knew the Kinder, and...
Right. Yeah, and then it's also a part of the Alea Big Box series, which has quite a few games. 76 plastic pirates, 9 game boards, 200 tiles, and 1 die.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of pieces. Let's look at one of the components, or some of the components real quick. I want to see some of these figures.
That's fine. I'm trying to find out what award this Kinder Spiel Experten is. I guess like the expert Kinder Spiel.
Yeah, it must be like expert kids game. I don't know if that's a thing, but apparently. Alright, it's loading wonderfully fast on my end, as usual. So let's look at the next one while that's loading, and I'm going to go back and check that out.
Mind you, just so you know, 2006 was the last time they had this award.
Well, no wonder, huh?
Yep.
Alright, yeah, look at that. That's cool. That is an awesome... That is totally a fantastic picture of like the guy up on the post. Those figures look really neat. The die, it's generic. It's a wooden one. Nothing too special there. But, well, I'm not going to lie. I mean, does this look interesting to you?
It looks pretty good. I would try it. I don't know if I would go out of my way to buy it. Just because of the complexity level. I'm used to Feld games being a lot more complex.
Right, which is one of the things that we really like from him. But I'm going to add this to my wish list just in case. Because I do kind of want it.
Apparently, I have an ad on it that you can get it on Amazon for $55.
Only, huh? I'm going to wait. Just in case. Alright. In the Year of the Dragon. Let's talk about this for a bit.
So, I don't know how many times you've played this. I played this once. And this is probably one of his meanest games around.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
So in this one, players take on the role as Chinese rulers around the year 1000. The game plays out in 12 rounds, which each round representing 1 month in the year. That seems to go from bad to worse, as it says here. And there's things that happen. You get disease, droughts. There's attacks from the Mongols. So if you don't have ways to mitigate that, you're losing people. And there's just no ways to mitigate it. You just have to be smart about what you do and strategically use your resources at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. This game. What were your thoughts when we played it? Did you think it was as mean as people say?
For a Stefan Feld game, it was quite mean.
Yeah, I mean, like it wasn't.
It wasn't like mean, like I'm being mean to you in the game itself. It's just the game is being mean. I did like the I split you choose type mechanic that it had in there, where certain things can go on the board,
Right,
and then so
exactly.
who gets picked what. Sometimes this one you're trying to evenly split it, but sometimes the person's going to get the one with the less amount of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I like the I split you choose mechanism of it because when we played as a two-player game, that was a very simple split. You split it
Yeah,
up in I think two or three piles. I don't remember if it was the number of players or the number of players plus one, but I mean, so really this is just a penalty mitigation game. You're not going to be able to prevent every penalty, but you're going to be able to prevent most of them.
yeah.
And it's how effectively can you do that?
And so, like I said, it's for a Stefan Feld game. This is probably one of his meanest. I think Trajan may be a little bit more meaner for the player interaction of it, but this one is just because the game is mean to you at times, where you can lose some of your farmers or some of your money, or sometimes you even gain victory points because of whatever happens at the end of the year.
Right, exactly. And this is the third game by Alea, or from Stefan Feld, which so far we've only gone over two. Because I think another one that we'll be talking about here in a minute was also the same year. It's probably the second one. Trick Track nominee 2008. 2008 Spiel des Jahres recommended. 2008 Jota, Jota, Best Light Board Game nominee.
Light?
2008. It's light. It's not a hard game.
Well, no, but I'm saying light, a Feld game, light.
Surprisingly enough, I think we're going to have more of those than we think because we're familiar with his heavier stuff mostly.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I guess light for him is complex for a lot of other designers. Then Japan Board Game Prize Voters Selection nominee, International Gamers Award General Strategy Multiplayer nominee, and Golden Geek Best Gamers Board Game nominee. No winners, unfortunately,
So far.
so far.
I'm just trying to find out what the Jota awards are.
I don't know what the Johto Award. I know what Trick Track is. It's like a French TV station or publishing company, something like that. I know they made a special like Trick Track scenario for
So
Time
it's
Stories.
Brazilian, just so you know. The
Jota?
Jota is an annual award to board games and innovative initiatives in electronic channels in Brazil and the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah,
There
that's
we
kind
go.
of cool. I didn't know. That's why I like doing these board game breakdowns. I actually learn different award ceremonies for board games.
Yeah, definitely. Which is always interesting to look in. I mean, like, I don't think this is necessarily difficult, but at the same time, it's interesting how this is one of the earlier I Split You Choose games that I'm aware of. I mean, I know that's
Yeah,
been a fairly common mechanism, but to mitigate all the bad things that happen, like it's reminiscent of like something like Uwe Rosenberg would do, where like patchwork, it's like every point on your quilt or every spot on your quilt is negative 2 points. Deal with it by the end of the game, and there's a chance
yeah.
that you might have negative points at the end of the game, which is pretty hilarious.
That just means you're a bad quilter.
I guess so. All right, on to our next one, Notre Dame.
Ah,
Or Notre Dame. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, however. Because if you say it one way, everybody will correct you on one half. If you say
it's
it the other half, they
it's
correct you
it's
back.
Notre Dame because it's based off the French castle. Notre Dame is a university here in the states.
So it's Notre Dame. Got it. All right, so let's just annoy everyone at once. So Notre Dame. Is it my turn to talk about this one?
Oh yeah,
All right. So Notre Dame, Rio Grande's game description. The players take on roles of of the head of influential families in Paris at the end of the 14th century in the shadow of the Notre Dame Cathedral. The players compete for prosperity and reputation. Each player controls one of the 3 to 5 boroughs. So let's talk about the boroughs because that's really what makes this super interesting. I'm going
Oh
to pull up
yeah,
a picture of the board. Basically, this is a drafting game. In essence, you're drafting cards, you're playing different actions. Just like all of his previous games, the cards you play have different actions on them.
hmm
And each one of these boroughs, you have the ability to gain more actions. The more you put on each of the boroughs, the better they get. So, for example, if it's the third token I put on it, I take the action effectively 3 times. What makes this neat is that each of these each of these boards, it works for 2, 3 to 4 player game, and you use a different center tile, and then they worked out the math so the boards all fit together
yeah,
perfectly, which is, I think that's so smart.
yeah. No, it's awesome.
Yeah. And so some of them you might be able to move your carriage around to these different like kind of cross section points. You might be able to like defend rats or get points, and yeah, it's a really neat drafting and resource mitigation game.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that it's got a little bit of like worker placement. So like if I put it in one of the burrows, and then I put again in that same burrow, it's going to give me more stuff, or it's going to become more powerful in said burrow as I keep putting more in there. So sometimes you want to make that decision where like I want to keep trying to put into here because I'm going to get bigger rewards as I do it.
Yeah, definitely. So, what were your initial thoughts when we played it? I think we played as a 3 or 4 player game, right?
Oh yeah, I think it was a four-player game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. The rats can be a little bit of a problem if you don't mitigate them, but honestly, I knew that going in, so I try to take care of the rats.
Yeah, yeah. No, this was super fun. I can see why this is one of his higher ranked ones, and it's fairly simple, even though it looks fairly complex as far as the picture goes.
Yeah, and it had a lot of award nominations. I don't know if it won anything. I'm not seeing here, but once again, the Jota Best Light board game nominee, the 2008 Golden Geek Best Gamers board game nominee, the 2008 Board Game Australia Awards Best International Game nominee, a Trick Track nominee. It also was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. Nominated for the International Gamer Awards General Strategy in Multiplayer. 2007 Golden Geeks Best Gamers Board Game, as well as Best Family Board Game, as well as Board Game Artwork Presentation. All nominees for the Golden Geeks in 2007. In the 2007 Deutscher Spielpress Best Family Adult Game got second place. It was the runner-up.
I wonder what got the first place on that. Let's
I
find
don't know.
out real quick.
Yep, that's what I'm looking up.
All right, I'll keep mine right here.
Let's see. There it is.
And silence. I will point out that this has area control or area majority, card drafting, point to point movement, which is pretty great. But I love how under the family, there's the Alea big box, sure, in cities, Paris, country, France, but animals, rats.
Rats.
I love that. That's one of the major
Let's see.
factors
I'm
in it.
trying to find out what the award was, but I'm not pulling up the award to see. The winner was Pillars of the Earth.
Oh, okay. Which is also another, cathedral based game because I
Yeah.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're building a cathedral in that game. Weird
Yeah,
how
it's
they,
based off the TV show Pillars of the Earth.
yeah, or the books by Ken Follier, I think.
hmm
Yeah, so that's cool. So that it had some stiff competition. So apparently they were really, into the cathedrals that year. Let's
Yeah.
let's go on to the next one. Now this is one that I haven't heard of, haven't gone anything into. The Name of the Rose.
Yeah, another one I'm not familiar with myself as well. I think with us, for the Stefan Feld, we've played the same games pretty much.
I'm afraid. As you read this, I'm afraid.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
The description in this deduction game, players are monks who are trying to collect as many suspicion points on the other players as possible in order to figure out who the criminal is. Right there, I'm not a huge fan of deductions, but there's always an exception to the rule.
Right? And Stefan Feld tends to be the exception right now. Let's see how
Yeah,
the
that's
game
true.
plays.
Okay,
One,
the board game shows several locations, each with 2 numbered chits in one of 6 colors. The rest are face down in line next to the board. There are 6 colored monk pieces, a Williams piece, and an Anson piece, all set up in different locations at the start. All monks start with 10 suspicion points and 5 clue points. Players each randomly assign 1 monk color, keep secret. Each player receives 3 cards, which will show either a monk, a location, or Williams Anson. Apparently, there's 7 rounds, which is basically days in the last 24 hours, because that's what day is. Each day starts by revealing a random event tile in effect for that day. Then the players take turn playing cards, monk cards, move that monk to a different location, location cards, which will allow you to move any piece to that location, and the William Anson card will allow you to move either of those pieces to any other location. Cards also have a number on them. Add as many hours to the clock unless you spend previously collected chits to reduce the number by 1 per chit. Oh man, this is very complicated.
I bet it's probably not as bad as it seems, but
Draw a card at the end of your turn. If you move past the day ends. You draw a card at the end of your turn. When a monk is moved to a location, if there is no piece of their color, increase their suspicion by the sum of both chits presented. If there is, take the chit and reduce it. There's a lot of math in this game.
right?
Let's see. After days 1, 3, and 5, players reveal 1 color they are not. Day 7 is different. Players simultaneously guess which monk other players were assigned. For every correct guess, that player monk receives substantial additional clue points. Number of points varies based on the number of players. The player with the fewest clue points against our monk wins the game.
Ah, interesting. Okay. So now the question is, no, you made it pretty clear that you don't tend to like deduction games. But I
No,
would go on a limb and say you don't like social deduction games where you like deduction better because it's logical deduction. It's
yeah,
trying to
I
figure
don't
out
mind it
things.
that way. This one is a little mathy for my liking, but it should be interesting to play at least. But yeah, you're right. Social deduction is what I truly don't like. There's one social deduction game that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, the one. And that's
The one,
deception, right?
yeah, Deception, Murder, and Outcome.
Right. And if we look at the board here, I like this clock part of it. This part's really great. Um, I do like I like the way the board looks. What do you think?
Uh, Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all.
Yeah. Like the cards, the art looks pretty decent. I mean, this is definitely one that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Let's see if it did it win any awards.
Didn't even get nominated from what I was looking at.
Strange. Wow. Yeah, and its rating is 6.8, which is low for him, high for Board Game Geek.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's actually a decent. Anything above a 6 on BGG is good.
Exactly. So now I'm going to put this as my wish list because I'm curious to try and eventually get a hold of it. I doubt it's in print anymore, but it seems pretty neat. Uh, yeah, the name of the rose. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I'm curious. Let's go
Same.
on to the next one. Arena Roma 2. So this is effectively the sequel to Roma.
Roma, and it can integrate with Roma.
Oh, really? Let's see here. Oh, wow. Yeah, the revolt of Rome will not end for a long time to come. I'm going to pull up a picture and have it load in the background real quick. Let's see here. Alright, so while that's loading, the revolt of Rome will end for a long time to come. Join the action to find out who is the most powerful ruler by skillfully playing your cards. No matter if you strengthen your own position with strong cards, like Arena or Ballista, or if you augment your victory points by the Templarius, and oh man, this is just getting ridiculous. Tremus. You will be the winner if you use your characters and buildings with wit and savvy. You may also combine Roma 2 Arena with Roma and discover even more options. So it is a sequel directly.
Yeah.
It is also a two-player only game,
Hmm.
which makes it interesting. And it says mix all the cards from both to do that. So I bet you they have a um oh, it says Queen small box, but I was gonna say I bet they had something similar to like a big box for it that combines the two. And one nominee was
Uh,
Golden Geek Best Two Player Board Game nominee
in 2010.
in 2010. Yep. So there we have it. That's simple enough. It looks very similar to the first one. Some nicer components. You still have the track there, numbers 1 through 6. You're playing cards on either side.
It looks a bit more colorful than the original Roma too.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I believe this was Michael Menzel was the original artist for both.
Same
Yep.
artist for this one as well. Michael Menzel's the artist for Arena. I don't know about regular Roma.
I thought it was, but I might be wrong. Could totally be wrong. And that was also 5 years before that too. So he came
Yeah.
in and revisited it. All right, cool. So there's Arena Roma. I'm curious about that one, so I'm going to add it to my wish list. I wonder if there's going to be any that I'm not interested in. Okay, Board Game Geek does not want me to. Okay, so maybe I won't. Oh, there we go. Wish list. There we go. And save, because now I'm curious about it. Alright, let's go on to the next one. This is one that we both have played against each other.
Is it Pillars of the Earth?
Yep, Builder's Duel.
So this is a two-player game of Stefan Feld's that we have played, and we enjoy it. It's a bit of a tug of war. Each player is trying to erect a cathedral while the other is in charge of building a fortress. So one player is trying to do the cathedral and a fortress, with the other player, the one who succeeds first, is the winner. It's basically who can build theirs faster. There's 3 sections to each building. Each of these sections require different combinations of materials. Action cards enable players to get construction materials. Others allow them to upgrade these materials, such as iron into bells, sand into cement, and wool into cloth. I really, really enjoyed this when we played it.
Yeah, this was such a cool little duel game because I liked how the tokens always combated each other. So
Yeah, exactly.
the way it works is you have a 3 by 3 grid of cards each turn. Each player, starting with the player who's going first, which may change, places a row, a column, or a diagonal straight line of 3 tokens, and then the other player does the same, but it must intersect only one of them. So it's going to be like either an opposite or a straight line or something to that effect. The one that is dueled between them, in this example, we have the board here, 3 red and then 3 blue. The one that's in the very center of the board, you're going to have to battle, and you have coins that are worth either, I believe, 2 or 3, 1 or 4, or 0 and 5, and you flip the coin as the main battle mechanism.
Yeah.
Which is, he made flipping coins good. It was crazy because you have that general risk that you're worried about. Sure, I could go for a coin, I could go for the 0 5, but I have a 50% chance of rolling a 0 versus a 5, where if you're going to be choosing the 2 and 3, you're definitely going to get a minimum of 2. So higher risk, less reward, or higher risk, more reward, but that's not always the case. And you can continue spending tokens. I know some of them you have a 2-3, I think that's only yours. And then you gain other tokens as well from that. Man, this was a cool little back and forth 2-player game.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I really enjoyed playing it. We had a good time. I got to beat you in it, so.
Right? There was one complaint that I had, and I don't know if you remember it. How
No, it's been a while, so.
certain cards only work for the blue player, certain cards only work for the red player, and the border is slightly highlighted in that color, which was so painful trying to figure out which ones were neutral or red, because
Yeah,
it's a
no,
slight.
it was.
It's like
Yeah.
which one is brighter. I wish there was another way that they would go through and describe that one.
So this one was in the Cosmos 2-player series, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yep, and the classification, it's under Cosmos 2-player series.
Yeah, exactly. Along with like classics like Targi and My Lost Cities.
Yeah, so it also won the 2009 International Gamers Award General Strategy for 2 players.
Very cool. All right. How would you rank this one? Like we should go through and rank them when we're done.
Sure. I mean, the ones that we played.
Right.
So this is my favorite 2 player game of his I've ever played.
2 player only, right?
Yeah, it's the only one I played, but
Yet.
it's not
Yet.
my favorite Feld, but it's not my least favorite. It's probably middle of the pack for me when it comes to the ones I played.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's go Macau. This is one that is definitely high up on a lot of people's. I think this is either like second or third favorite from Rado. Like one of his favorite Spiel. Or I'm sorry, not Spiel, Stefan Feld games.
Stefan Feld, yeah.
Yeah, so let me pull up the board to load in the background. And at the end of the 17th century, Macau, the mysterious port city on the southern coast of China, is a Portuguese trading post in the Far East. The players take on the roles of energetic and daring adventurers. Somehow I don't believe that's true. Uh, Many exciting tasks and challenges await the players, whether they are a captain, governor, craftsman, or scholar. Those who choose the wisest course of action and have the best overall strategy will earn the most prestige at the end. Last 12 rounds, and each round players select one new card from a display specific to that round, 2 of which were revealed at the start of the game, and the others were revealed only at the start of the round. The deck of 96 cards includes all sorts of special abilities, as we would expect, of course,
Yeah.
with the most powerful actions costing more resources to put into play. One player rolls 6 different colored dice. Okay, here we go with the dice options again.
Yep.
And their different colors as well. Then each player selects 2 of those dice, possibly the same ones chosen by opponents. Then places cubes equal to the number and color of the 2 men on a personalized ship wheels. So if a player
This
chooses,
description is the
yeah,
epitome of dry Euro.
yeah, there's no theme in this as far as anything matters at that point. Let's look at the board. Look
It's
at
actually one of Aaliyah's prettiest games, honestly. I was just looking at some pictures of it.
Yeah, that windrows right there, the player's boards where you choose the directions and where you put your dice. That's gorgeous. I love that. The
Yeah.
board. Uh, yeah,
It's still pretty for an Aaliyah game.
yeah. I will say that there was one thing that Rado pointed out that I do agree with. If he ever needs to use cubes for a prototype, he says that this has just about every color of cube.
So, some special awards and nominations for it. It got nominated for, looks like, 5 awards. The 2010 Jota Best Family Board Game. The 2010 International Gamers Award for General Strategy Multiplayer nominee. The Golden Geek Most Innovative Board Game. And Best Strategy Board Game nominations, as well as the 2010 Board Games Australia Awards Best International Game nomination.
No wins, huh?
No wins.
Man, he was not being loved at the moment.
He's
And
basically Rainer Knizia before, around the same time Rainer Knizia was getting nominated for everything.
Yep. And this is one of the ones that I saw a top 10 list of what games need to be reprinted from the Dice Tower after we did ours, of course.
Yeah, we did ours first.
Yeah. So I think they took inspiration, but this was one that was listed, and it is listed at $200 on Amazon.
Jesus.
I'm sure that's a used copy as well.
Yeah, probably.
So there we go.
No, I don't disagree. I would like this one to get reprinted because I would like to try it.
Yeah, this one looks up there. I hope the cubes aren't too big of a problem, no. But I put it on my wish list, so we'll see. Alright, so next one. Spiel mit Lucas, Dribble Fiber.
Okay, so this one, never heard of because it's only in German, it seems like.
Yeah.
From the pictures, it looks like you're a soccer game. A board game about street soccer. 2 players have a football team of 5 persons drawing cards and managing their hand are the way to success. Game will have an inbuilt, easy-to-go game, kick and run for a comfortable entry into the game mechanics. The game is part of the Lucas Podolsky game series. Minimum age and playing for the two versions is different. I don't really know too much about it. Looks like he coded this with Wolfgang Panning. It looks interesting, don't get me wrong, but especially since it's a sports game, you're doing card drafting and hand management on it.
Yeah. Now, every sports game always kind of runs into like the same problem. It's either too realistic and you're like crunching numbers and stats, or it feels slow. And now I'm just assuming with this game, I don't think it's been printed in English just because of the fact that it just looks slow. Card drafting during a action-packed soccer game, I don't know, that doesn't seem like it'd be amazing to me.
It'd be interesting to me. I'm a huge sports fan. It's common knowledge. I wear a different team hat every video practically. So I love sports: baseball, soccer, football. Not basketball. Nobody likes that. But
I'm
so
not going to
I want
comment.
to see a good implementation of a sports game. So this has me intrigued, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to play it because again, I don't know German.
Exactly. Yeah. If this ever shows up at like a used bookstore that we like to go to, then sure, I'll definitely pick it up because it's Stefan Feld. But I don't think I'm going to actively seek this one out.
Yeah, same.
All right, let's go to Luna, which I had the chance to buy this the other day, and I thought about it very strongly. And this Rado, I watched his top 10 Stefan Feld games, and he pointed out that this one has the ability to be the meanest game out of what he's made. Like,
Huh.
yeah, in the Year of the Dragon was mean, but this one you can really mess over your opponents apparently. So it says in the end of her regency is nigh. The time it's time to clear the way for a new bearer of the burden. She will keep a wary eye. I don't know why we're even reading the backstory. We all know. Let's just
No,
be
no,
real.
you're reading the backstory. I give a synopsis of how this game plays.
Yeah. Let's. All right. We'll do that then. She will keep a wary eye of the novices representing their
Again, you
orders.
go back to reading the backstory.
Yep. And trying to win her favor. Eventually, she will have to come to a decision which order will prove itself worthy to decide on her successor. There will be a new moon priestess, and she will bear the new title, Luna. All right, do you want to do over the description?
Sure, over the course of 6 rounds, the players will collect as many influence points as possible. They do it by placing the novices to achieve goals. Players move their novices over 7 islands surrounding a temple island. The novices are placed according to worker movement principle, i.e., they're not placed at the beginning of a round, but instead start where they ended the round before. So they move to new locations. So thus the movement is important as part of the round. Only if you're in the right place at the right time will you gain those influence points that we talked about. Yeah, you'll have to build new shrines, work at a temple, and participate in the priestess divine services. But you also got to make sure you recruit additional novices or win the favor of local priests because they're vital. These are vital means to prepare and combine the diverse actions. Wow, this is it. So the way they describe it is it's a challenging tactical game with strategic interactive elements that take about 20 to 25 minutes per player. The different placement of the islands and novices at the beginning of the game creates a different feeling each time you play and opens up new strategies.
Very
That's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, that sounds phenomenal. And honestly, like I like the theming of this. It looks really nice. The board looks pretty decent. I just pulled up a picture of that. Um, I mean, you have a lot of spaces along this little area here, and you have your tokens that are just kind of along this track. A bunch of hex grids in the middle, and you're putting out your characters for influence. It looks less of like an area control and more of something like uh, something similar to Takenoko, where it's like if you just get your characters in certain situations, you probably get the points for that. I
Yeah.
might be wrong. I'm talking completely out of nowhere,
Don't
but
get me wrong. I'm interested in this game.
yeah.
It looks pretty. It looks good. It's not a Leia, is it?
No, this is Tasty Minstrel.
Yeah. So that's why it's pretty.
No, so here's the thing though. The artist on this is Clemens Franz. which, if you're familiar with his other stuff like Agricola, and he's known for a lot of the dry Euros, like this is a drastic change.
Yeah, it's a lot prettier than say Agricola and stuff like that.
Right, and that might be Scott Hartman in that defense. It might be him making the cover or a good portion of that. But Clemens Franz, he's fairly prolific. I recognize this style right here, and that I believe is Clemens. But I love the way these tokens just kind of like sit on the track, like winding out from the center there. That's so
Yeah,
cool looking. All of the boards are just different shapes. Looks like this is a puzzle piece board, so it's printed on
yeah,
punch board. But either way, I mean this looks phenomenal. I already put it on my wish list because it looks really good.
yeah. So interesting to note, didn't win any awards, but was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres in 2011, as well as the 2011 Jota Best Light Board Game nomination for that, as well as a nominee for the Jogo do Ano nominee, which I just looked it up while we were discussing it, is a Portugal
Oh wow,
Game of the Year awards.
very cool. So he's getting really popular all throughout Europe. Then,
Well,
Twen-
in Brazil loves him.
yeah, 20 minutes per player, 20 to
20 to
25.
25 minutes per player.
I mean, realistically, that's like a half hour. But imagine playing this as a solo game because it does have a solo variant.
It'd be
That
interesting.
that's a 30-minute game technically.
Yeah,
I don't know if that how true that is, but I mean, knowing Stefan Feld, yeah, probably.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
it looks good.
it does. Yeah, that's on our radar for sure. All right. Uh the Spikerstadt, I think is what it is. We are going to just very briefly go over this.
Got a decent rating on BGG. It's 7/7,
Yes, but it is re-implemented by Jorvik. Basically, they took this and its expansion and made Jorvik out of it.
which
So,
is a game I do want to pick up. You just picked up, correct?
yeah, I just picked up and I have it sitting over here on my shelf of shame. And from what I remember of it, it's essentially a bidding game. You have the cards laid out for people to bid. What makes this super interesting? How much have you looked into Jorvik or this one?
I've looked into it some. I know the bidding. It's funny because I'm not a big fan of auction or bidding games. There are a few that I do enjoy, like For Sale.
Uh huh.
With this one, with Jorvik, or this one, I guess you could say, it has me intrigued. I want to try it because Feld does things that make it interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah. What makes it super neat is you always put your character on the back of the line, and the reason that matters is because the player who's at the front of the line, once everybody's put out their workers, you decide if you want to bid for it. If you bid for it, you have to pay one currency, money, whatever it is, one of the tokens for every character that's already in the line. So if I was this purple player, I would have to pay 3 if I want to buy that card. But if I don't, I remove my meeple from the board, and then the orange player, the next in line, would have the option to pay 2 to buy it. So it gets, not only when you put your worker out there, you're making it more expensive for everybody in front of you, but then you also get your chance to potentially get it cheaper. That is such a cool fluctuating technique to me.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's interesting that they reprinted this as Jorvik, and you went from basically dock workers who are bidding on different, from what I'm reading here, like grains and stuff like that, and like for your storehouses, to Vikings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's intriguing. I like it a lot.
So notable for this, it was nominated for the 2010 Japan Board Game Prize Voters Selection.
Okay, that's oddly specific, but all right.
Yeah,
Why not?
it's the translation. If anybody knows anything about Japanese, it's probably just like a few words, and when it translates back to English, this is how it goes.
Right. That was the best description they could come up with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So we'll be talking more about that with Jorvik later.
Yeah.
So it happens.
You owned this at one point, correct?
I still do. I just saw it up on my shelf. I'm looking at it right now. It happens. This is easily the worst one that I played from him, and let me tell you why. It has some interesting stuff. You have different colored dice, and each player has their own colored dice. You have a series of these cards that are laid out, and the cards have spots that you can put dice. Now, I'll read the description here in a minute, but basically whoever has the most dice will get the points shown here. Whoever has the second most will get the second most. What matters is that if I roll higher than you, I have a better chance of winning. It really does matter as far as what we roll, which is the first and only game of his that I'm aware of that has that mechanism in it. Now, it's a really light game. It's not
Yeah, it's more
complicated.
family friendly than anything else.
Right. And I know like if you land on these certain tokens, you have to start from the bottom up as far as the holes, basically your anteaters. And you can get these little artifact tokens and those can be traded in for set bonuses as well. So it's not really like the worst game. I want to give it another shot. I'll be happy to bring it over and play it sometime in the future. But I mean, it really is just roll dice and hope to get better.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? You can't win them all.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I'm not gonna like every one of his games. It's already established. It's just gonna be. He makes so many. It's just
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
not quite up to the level of like Reiner Knizia, but yeah, he makes so many games. It's that they can't all be great. And I'm assuming he had this already made years ago, and then Queen was like, "Hey, we want to make a small game. You have anything? Yeah, sure. Here you go.
Sure, here you go.
Yeah, here it is." That's my guess anyway. That's how it seemed. All right, on to the next one. We have the Castles of Burgundy. Do you want to take it from here?
This is my favorite Feld game right here.
Probably mine too.
This is actually what got me into Feld. I remember you showing this off at what was it, game night at the old shop, at the same company, but it was at a different location, and I bought it into my collection. And it's funny because you posted Rado's run through of it before that big game night. So like this way, you guys can get kind of familiar with how this game plays. Here you go. And I watched that video, and I was just like, I was enamored way this game plays, and so. This is what everybody calls Stefan Feld. This is his top tier game when it comes to the point salad issue. There is just a plethora of ways that you can gain victory points and win.
Right, currently
You
now.
want to ship goods? Ship goods. This is how you do it. You just make sure you get your ships in place. You want to. That's how you're going to get points. Or build up your castles to help you give you bonus points. Or get your cows or chickens or your farm animals in place. That's how you're going to get points. Be the first one to fill up a whole section. This way you can get bonus points. So there's just so many different ways to do it. And the way it works is whoever's leading the thing, they roll the white die, right?
Yeah, whoever plays first rolls a white die, and that's where the good goes into the
Yep.
1 through 6 slot.
And then you roll your dice, so you can either play on the big board to gain stuff and put it into your market, or you can use that dice to help you build in certain areas. The one thing I really like about this mechanism or this game, is the mechanism that, all right, so I have my starting castle. This is my first castle right here. Now, whenever I use these dice to help me build, I have to build around that castle. I have to build where I've already built before.
Yeah.
And to me, that's such a because it just opens up so much strategy. Do I want to build here? This way, if I get a chance, I can open up these mines. Or do I want to build here? This way, I get a chance to get my second castle or stuff like that.
Yeah, and I want to point out, like, so I have a screenshot of all of the components right now, and it looks really complex. It's really not. It's a lot simpler than it seems.
Yeah, so, like, the first two turns is a little tricky when you first play it, but as you get going and you figure it out, okay, these dice can do this. I got this worker to change this die, but another thing that I really love about this is the workers, because they allow you to mitigate the die. And what's cool about it is, like, if you roll a 6, you can use a worker to either drop it to a 5 or flip it all the way over to a 1.
Yeah, exactly. So that goes into if I roll higher than you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no benefit. So on your turn, you're going to take one of 4 actions. You're either going to buy a tile based on the number, you're going to place a tile based on the number and the color, or you're going to get workers or ship goods. That's it. Most points wins. So many ways to get points in this game.
And we're going to talk about these later, but this game was so big, he re-implemented it twice with a card game and a dice game.
Yeah, and potentially a third time.
Yep, so it did get a reprint recently. I think it was the anniversary edition. I think 10 years.
Yep.
Because
10
this
or
came out in 2010
yeah, I think so.
or 2009, somewhere around there.
Yep, 2009. So 2019 was its 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, so they got a reprint. I'm not a big fan of the reprint because it doesn't really change much. It makes the colors a little sharper, but that's an Alea thing. That's my problem with Alea. So this is hard on colorblind people.
Yeah, it is. It is. Knowing which ones are yellow or brown or the other brown
Yeah.
or light green or dark green. Yeah, it's they picked the worst color palette. So definitely got a
So
lot
it
of
plays
winners.
within, what is it, 5 phases that have 5 rounds.
Uh-huh.
And then so you roll the dice, you decide where your workers are going, and you keep doing that until the end of the game. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. And that's what I like about this game is because of that point salad. There's just so many ways to win. I can concentrate on shipping and still have a chance to win.
Yeah, definitely. I this is if not my favorite, second in line. I'll explain
It's
which
up
one
there.
my
There's another one that we'll talk about that I go back and forth on this one.
right. I think you and me are probably talking about the same one. Maybe. And so it got the 2012 Golden Geek Best Strategy Board Game nominee, Games Magazine Best New Advanced Card Game Strategy winner, the As d'Or Jeu de l'Année
I think that's a
nominee.
French one, just so people know.
Yeah. Trick Track nominee, Trick Track de Bronze, Spiel des Jahres recommended, Meeple's Choice Award, International Gamers Award, General Strategy Multiplayer nominee, Golden Geek Best Strategy Board Game nominee, and Best Family Adult Game second place as far as the
I
Spiel.
want to see what beat it in the Golden Geek for the 2011 Best Board Game nominee.
Yeah, that's a good question. Go ahead and pull that up, and we will look at that very soon.
I think I know what won it.
2009. What could it be? Let's see.
Well, it's 2011.
2011. Sorry.
But Seven Wonders is on that thing, so that's what I'm looking for here.
Oh, I see.
So what was the award? The 2011 what? It was the Golden Geek Best Strategy Game, correct?
Best Strategy Board Game nominee. Yeah.
That was Dominant Species actually won it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good for GMT and Dominant Species for winning that. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, this is awesome. And I think they have a really good app that came out recently that implements it pretty well. You only mainly see your board, but which is fine. It's effectively multiplayer solitaire. You don't affect the other players too much. But
Well, that's Castles of Burgundy in general. It's the only thing you really mess with the other players if you can go to a location that they wanted to go to.
yeah, exactly. Now
And the
that
only way you can do that is if you roll the same number.
right, exactly. That's the only way you can affect them. There is some good news. I finally got my wife Stacy to play this the other day.
You've owned it how long now?
7 or 8 years, maybe. I don't know. Probably not that long. Probably about 5.
What'd you think?
Hated it. But so the good news is, even though she said that she disliked it, it was because it was really long, and
Yeah.
it took us 2.5 hours because I taught 2 new players. I taught her and my son Aiden, which he was pulling off. He pulled off like probably a 6 or 7 tile combo on like turn 3. He did like 4 castles. He filled in an area.
So
He was able to bounce off.
let me
of-
just say that was a proud dad moment for you.
It was, and then right at the end of the game, he was like, "Yeah, it wasn't that great." I was like, "Really? Like, come on,
You
dude."
should try Stacy on the dice game. I think she would like that one a lot better.
That's true. Maybe, yeah, yeah. Just as a rolling rate. That's a
Yeah.
good point. I should definitely try that, which we'll get into here in a bit.
Yep.
Let's jump over to the next one, Strasbourg. Which
Haven't heard of this one. Which is interesting about this one that I'm seeing on the BGG is that you need to play with 3 players. It's 3 to 5.
3 to 5, minimum 3. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Normally it's more. Normally he has a 2-player variant, but let's see. Do you want to read this one?
Yeah, so Strasbourg is, of course, a 15th century. The political skills of the city are heavily influenced by the craftsman guilds. Players take the lead of ascending families of the city. It is your goal to place your family members in the different guilds. Only clever usage of influence point makes it possible to be accommodated as apprentice, assistant, or even master craftsmen, provided you can pay the admission fee, but don't underestimate the power of the church or the nobility. So apparently it's an easy-to-learn strategy game with inventive mechanisms that provide the player with lots of room for decisions. but also keep an eye on plans of the other players who will earn the highest fame in the end. So the mechanisms in this game are area majority influence, auction and bidding, auction once around, pattern building, and tile placement. So that and the categories it falls under is city building, economic, and medieval.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like something I'm gonna really enjoy. So I'm gonna add this to my wish list.
Of course you are. But
Of
I'm
course,
looking at Amazon and it's out of print, so they're asking for $200.
$200 also. So hopefully that'll come back fairly soon. Yeah, we have a series of tiles on the board. It looks like this is a curved board, maybe a player screen. I'm guessing is what this is. Some tokens, some player boards, a lot of symbology, lots of colored meeples, lots of cards. I'm guessing the card numbers are what you bid with. That's just an assumption. But yeah,
So we've talked about this recently, or just before we started, about Spiel des Jahres, right? We were talking about the nominees, and you're like, oh, your goal is to get all the Spiel des Jahres winners in your collection.
yep,
This was actually nominated for the Kinderspiel,
yeah, yeah, it was.
which is in 2011, which is the most strategic game, and I actually prefer the Kinderspiel award rather than the Spiel des Jahres itself.
Yeah. And you have probably about half of the Kenner spiels already. We can look at that
At
later.
least the winners, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think I have half of them, but I do own a lot of them.
Yeah. Maybe you should try and gain all of those ones. I'll do all the spiel. You can do all the Kenner spiel.
Well, I have last year's. I got Wingspan in my collection.
There you go. You're one step of the way.
So I'm actually looking up the Kinderspiel, see what games I actually own of them.
So while we do that, we'll go past Strasbourg. It looks good. I mean, this is, you'll notice that this is made by Pegasus Spiel, which is, I like the art on it. It's very stylized. It's very medieval, of course. Who is the artist on this? Alexander Jung and Hans-Jörg Schneider. Yeah, I really like that style. It's fairly cartoony, but man, those colors pop on it.
So I don't have the 2012 winner, which was Village. I don't even know who the 2011 is. Let me look that up.
Well, that was the year it was nominated.
Yeah, and it was the nomination, so something else beat it. So there was only 2 honors in the Kinderspiel in 2011, 3 in 2012.
Uh,
Seven Wonders actually won. I don't even like Seven Wonders. I can understand why it got the Kinderspiel, but
right.
I'm not a fan of Seven Wonders itself. I prefer Seven Wonders Duel over Seven Wonders.
Oh yeah, Seven Wonders Duel is a million times better.
So I played Legends of Andor. I like it. That's 2013. 2014 was Istanbul. I played it, want to own it. You own the 2015 Kinderspiel winner, Broom Service.
Yep. And I own
played it, enjoy it.
Istanbul as
That's
well.
another one that I want to get. Isle of Sky won 2016. Quacks is another one, which is 2018. I own Wingspan. And the Crew, Cartographers, and The King's Dilemma are this year's nominees, and I own one of those 3, and I want the other 2.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely climbing up as far as one. So that's what I'm saying. You need to get all of them, with the exception of Seven Wonders.
Yeah, with the exception of Seven Wonders, I'll probably end up all of them because I actually enjoy it. So, you want to know what won the Kinderspiel in 2017?
What's that?
Exit the Game. It's
Oh,
got
yeah.
like all 3 nominees for it were the Abandoned Cabin, the Pharaoh's Tomb, and the Secret Lab.
Yep, which I played all 3, and they're phenomenal. They're absolutely awesome. All right, let's jump back to Stefan Feld, because now we have the other one that I might consider probably my favorite of his.
Same.
Trajan. Trajan is so good. It took what Castles of Burgundy did and just flipped it on its head. There are 6 different lots, 6 different actions shown on this player board, and you will be moving the tokens a la Mancala, a la Mancala, and you're moving them into those, and then you take the action. Well, what makes that neat is that the action you take might also fulfill other tokens by the Trajan tiles, which lets you get even more points. And then the actions will let you build tiles, go through Rome, get sets of goods, build buildings, buy more Trajan tiles, ship goods. There's just so much going into it.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is how big of a game this is for us and just the world. This is probably one of his a lot of people's second favorite of his games, Castles of Burgundy, and this one compete a lot, and it proves it just on the award and honor nominations. It got nominated for the Netherlands best game, I guess, best expert game. It won the 2013 Games Magazine Game of the Year. It was nominated for the Trick Track. Also, 2012 Trick Track d'Argent. It was the Lies Piation finalist. Luca Games Best Board Game nominee. The Jota Best Gamer Game nominee. The 2012 International Gamers Award General Strategy Multiplayer winner. It also listed it as a nominee, which it won. It was the 2012 Golden Geek Most Innovative Board Game nominee, as well as the Golden Geek Strategy Board Game nomination. The 2012 Deutscher Spielpress Best Family Adult Game, it was the runner-up in that category, as well as the Jogo do Ano nominee, which again is the Portugal Awards.
Yeah, and so I just pulled up a listing of all the components with the tiles, the board, everybody's player mat, all your meeples. Yeah,
It's a table eater, everybody. Just let you know, you need a big table for this
absolutely.
game. But it is so good, and I love that Mancala mechanism in it. So like if Castles of Burgundy is my favorite of his games, that's 1A, and this is 1B. It's right there. I do need to get this into my collection. That's how much I really enjoy it. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's not a cheap game, but that's because it's so grandiose and so big. It's so good. I definitely need to bring it over and we need to play again.
My only issue with it is I just wish it had better art to the board itself. The board's a little bland for my liking, especially for the rural world that's trying to take place in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I actually don't mind the board. It is bland. I agree with you. Like I wish there was more contrast in it, but right here you have like the Arc de Triomphe, I think. You have the Senate, you have all the build tiles, but then the board takes on this like nice sprawling view of the different regions around Italy that you are, taking over.
I'm a history major, so I want a little bit more historical context in the board game itself.
Right. Looking at the board now, I actually appreciate it more now looking instead of like looking up close with all the symbols and all the cards and tokens and everything. That view that I'm getting right here as I'm stepping back and looking at the whole picture, I really enjoy that.
But this recently got a reprint by, I think it was Renegade Games.
Yep.
Just reprinted it. So it used to be just, Hauchi?
Yeah, Hutch
and then Hachi, and then Renegade worked in conjunction with Hawachi to reprint it.
Yeah. So you have a chance to buy it. It's so good.
Yeah. If you already own Castles of Burgundy, or if you got to choose between the two, you won't go wrong either way. Castles of Burgundy and Trajan are like the top two of my favorite of his games.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go into another out-of-print game, Bora Bora. This game, I don't know much about it, but I'm going to put it on my want list.
So it's being sold. It's actually one of his out-of-print games. It's not being sold over the top on Amazon.
Really?
It's $80.
$80. Well, I mean it's over the top, but that's not too bad. That's
compared not to the $200 ones we were looking at.
Right. All right.
And honestly, with all the components from what I'm seeing in the pictures, it's not horrible.
No, it looks like it's really good. Stake your fortunes in the mysterious island in the world of Bora Bora. Journey across islands, building huts where the resilient men and women of your tribes can settle, discovering fishing grounds and collecting shells. Send priests to the temples and gather offerings to curry the favor with the gods. In Bora Bora,
players use dice to perform a variety of actions. Where have I heard that before?
What do you know? Dang. I think we've heard. Hasn't he made a game like this before where you use dice?
Oh man. So 5 to 7 actions are available each round. The exact number depending on the number of players. Each player rolls 3 dice at the start of the round. They then take turns placing 1 die at a time on 1 action. Place a high number on an action, you generally get a better version of that action. More places to build, more choices of people to take, better positioning on temple track, and so on. Place a lower number and you get a worse action, but you possibly block other players from taking the action at all. So there is a little little bit of meanness to this, so you can block people by putting your crappy dice in an area you know they want to go to.
That's interesting. So it's kind of dice worker placement in a way,
Yeah,
but
it kind of reminds me of the reverse of what is that Stonemeyer game? Uh,
Stone.
Euphoria,
Yeah,
where you want your dice to be lower because you don't want them to be stupid. Where
right.
this one, you want the higher dice to get the more action stuff.
Exactly. You have to have like a range. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's one of the mechanisms: dice rolling, set collection, worker placement with dice workers. So a dice worker placement is always fun. Um, yeah. Oh man, this looks so good. The
Yeah, I
awards.
want to get it. I hope it gets a reprint. I really want. This is another one of the Stefan Feld games that I'm hoping for a reprint
Yeah.
because this has been on my radar for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It won the 2013 the Golden Elephant Award finalist.
Well,
2000.
that means it was a finalist. It wasn't the winner.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Meeple's Choice winner and nominee, which it was the winner there, and
Yep.
International Game Awards General Strategy multiplayer nominee. So yeah, you know what I like the most about how this looks? How much blue there is.
Yeah, right. I can actually see the board.
I know whose pieces are whose. I can see everything pretty clearly. The boards are
It's
very
not the.
nice.
What's weird is that this is a very colorful game for Alea. It's not really washed out either.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's really a solid color. This is a useless fact, but I heard that Facebook, the reason it's all blue, is because Mark Zuckerberg is also colorblind, and he says he can see all of the versions of blue, which is why he chose blue for it.
Nice.
Yeah, completely useless information right now, but I thought that was still interesting. Oh man,
So if I've had my things correctly, the next game is another one that I've actually attempted and interested in.
is that Rialto?
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Rialto. First off, love that cover, right?
A beautiful cover, actually.
And that's Stefan Feld right there. That's why. All right, go for it.
So this one's a card-driven game. The goal is to earn the most victory points, as of all Stefan Feld games, really. You get them for which are awarded in variety, so it's another one of those point salads. But this one's actually card-driven rather than dice-driven. The game is played over. So let's see. The game board displays the 6 districts of Venice, and players earn victory points for placing council members into these for building bridges and placing gondolas that connect the districts with one another, and building for advantageous buildings. The game is played over 6 rounds, with each round consisting of 3 phases. The acquiring cards. Each player takes a set of cards. Play cards. Players use cards to perform actions and activate buildings. Players may take advantage of their buildings and use their powers. So in phase 1, set of 8 cards are displayed with 6 cards face up and 2 face down. Each player takes 1 set, then reduces his hand to 7 cards. A card shows one of the 6 specific characters, the architect, merchant, or a wild card. Phase 2 consists of 6 sub-phases in a fixed order, 1 for each character. In each sub-phase, players choose whether or not to play 1 or more cards of that specific character. Each card allows them to perform the character's action. For example, taking a gold piece if you're a merchant card. Place 1 council member in the current district for each council card you play, and take a building with a value equal to or lower than the number of architect cards played. The higher its value, the better its function. Whoever plays the most cards in each subphase receives a bonus of 1 free action of that type. In case of a tie, whoever is farthest along on the Doge bar gets bonus. And of course, to advance the Doge bar, players need to play Doge cards. Finally, in phase 3, players may take advantage of the buildings. For each piece of gold paid, a player may use one of his building's ability. You collect victory points during the game from special buildings and building bridges between districts. At the end of it, for majorities of council members in each district, the value of each district evolves during the game. Each district is adjacent to 4 other ones, and at the end of the game, they will be connected either via bridges or gondolas. A bridge increases the value of the adjacent districts by 3 to 6 victory points, whereas a gondola increases it by 1. The player with the most council members in the district earns victory points equal to the district's total value. The player with the second most council earns half the value, and so on. So it is important to establish majorities in districts. It's also crucial to control the way by cleverly placing these bridges and gondola. This is Stefan Feld all over it. There's just so many different ways to get points. while still trying to build up the city.
Yep, exactly. You either get stuff to get you more points, or you just get stuff to get points. 2013 Meeple's Choice nominee. That's the only award that it was
Just
nominated for.
go to the first picture and pull that up for the people.
Yep, of the board.
Yeah, of the board. Just how beautiful is that board?
Yeah, that
This is
3D
why I
view.
like it when other people print his games.
I mean, nothing against Alea. I appreciate that they do it, but yeah, this Tasty Minstrel sets the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that's gorgeous looking. I wonder about those colors though.
Yeah, they're a little iffy for me, but still, such a gorgeous, gorgeous game.
Yeah, so I went ahead and put this on my wish list because this does look interesting.
I'm telling you, this has been another like Bora Bora. This has been on my radar. I just haven't pulled the trigger and buying it. I don't know if it's out of print right now or what.
Yeah, it's not that old, but yeah, it's probably out of print at the moment. I saw it
I
on
wonder if I can
Amazon
go
for
on.
60.
Yeah, I don't know if that's its normal price though. So.
Yeah, which is okay if it is, you know.
Looks like on the geek market you can find it for $32 to $45 depending on where you are.
Well, that's not bad.
On Amazon it's 60, so yeah, it should be interesting. I'm gonna like look it up. It is something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, definitely. I'll let you pick that one up.
This is another one that I'm interested in. I know for a fact it's out of print.
Bruges, yes, yes. This has been talked about on how it's out of print. In fact, not only do I already know a little bit about it and how much it looks good, I'm going to add it to my wish list just in case.
So much so, it's so out of print and so much wanted by people. It's $160 on Amazon.
Yeah, probably for a used copy too.
Yeah.
Bruges, in the 15th century, cultures and commerce flourish and make the Belgian Hanseatic city into one of the wealthiest cities in Europe. Bruges, aka, depending on which country you live. I'll let you read that depending on which country you live.
No.
Players assume.
I'm not trying.
Yeah. Players assume the roles of merchants who must maintain their relationships with those in power of the great city while competing against one another for influence, power, and status. Dramatic events cast their shadows over the city, the players needing to worry about the threats of their prosperity from more than just their opponents. The game includes 165 character cards, with each one having one of 5 colors.
Yeah.
On a turn, players choose one of his cards and actions and performs an action. With the 6 different actions being available, take workers, take money, mitigate a threat, build a canal, build a house, or hire the character depicted on the card. In principle, every card can be used for every action. But the color of the card determines which areas the actions can be used or the strength of the chosen action. Example, blue cards provide blue workers, and red cards help mitigate red threats. All of the actions is geared towards the gathering of prestige, with the most prestigious merchant winning at the end.
So awards and nominations for this game, before we move on more into this. 2014, the Netherlands Game of the Year or Best Expert Game nomination, the Lies Passion finalist. It was a nomination of the 2013 Spiel des Jahres Kinderspiel, as well as the Spiel der Spiel hit mit Freunden recommended. Nominated for the Meeple's Choice in 2013, the International Gamers Award for General Strategy Multiplayer nominations, Golden Geek's Best Card Game nominee, as well as Board Game Quest Awards Best Card Game winner, as well as nomination. And it was nominated for Game of the Year at the 2013 Board Game Quest Awards.
Very good. So yeah, definitely well accoladed, and I understand why it's out of print, but I also wish it wasn't.
Yeah, I wish someone would bring it back. And it's funny. The big thing about it is Dice Tower talks about Feld a lot in some of his games and stuff like that. This is actually Z Garcia's favorite Stefan Feld game.
Yeah, definitely, and he's not generally a fan of Stefan Feld, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he says he likes Castles of Burgundy, but it's not one of his favorites. But yeah, he says this is the one that he really enjoys.
Yeah, definitely. Here's an overview of the board. I like these little like third discs or like third 1/3 of a disc pie chart pieces that you can combine together. That looks cool. Coins look good. The board looks great. The box looks good. Michael Menzel made the art for this, of course, so it's gorgeous looking. The cards themselves all look great. But I found this picture, and whoever did this picture, laying out every card on the board on a table, that's insanity. You should be ashamed of your. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome that you did that, and this is such a beautiful layout. It'll load up on when you see it, Daniel. You'll see it on
I'm
Twitch
looking
soon.
at it. I'm looking at the one that has the board game in the middle with all the pieces and all the cards out.
Yeah, on the circle white table.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh my god, that's insane. I love that picture though. Whoever did
it's a
that,
great picture. Yeah.
let's give a shout out to him. Arnie Vermeulen. Yeah, that well done, sir. That is a phenomenal picture. I love that. All components. That's it.
That is just a crazy, crazy.
Yeah. So and then
It's a
look,
game that I'm interested in too. I want to own it.
yeah, look at all the pictures that they had to do. I mean, I'm sure there's duplicates in here, but oh man, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So good job to those people involved. Let's go on to the next game, Amerigo.
Another game that I've heard about and a bit interested in. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't really looked into it.
Yep, it was on sale on Amazon, so I figured I would jump on it. I ended up buying it. I don't have it yet in the mail, but I just bought it the other day, and it's coming
Yeah, I'm
from
looking at it. It's actually a decent price on Amazon right now.
yeah 45. It's really not bad at all, and it looks really great. I love nautical themed stuff. Despite me not being living near an ocean, I actually really enjoy nautical themed
Yeah,
games.
we live by more sand than we do by water.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, in Amerigo, the players help Amerigo Vespucci on his journey to discover new land. The players explore the islands of South America, securing trade routes and buildings and build settlements. The actions available are determined through a use of a specialized cube tower. So basically, if I'm not mistaken, this, like all of his other games, he gives you a sleuth of actions and he limits you on how you can do the actions based on whatever mechanism he chooses. This is
Yeah.
the sometimes it's dice, sometimes it's a cube
Cards.
tower, sometimes it's Mancala, but effectively you have all of these different styles. The cube tower has appeared in other games through there. This is already a big box, if I'm not mistaken. At the start of the game, the tower is seated with the action cubes, which come in 7 colors, each with. Sorry, I lost my place. Each color matching a particular type of action. During the game, players will drop additional action cubes into the tower, but some of these cubes might get stuck in the floors of the tower, while other cubes already in the tower are knocked free. Thus, players need to play both tactically and advance the actions currently available in the best way possible and strategically, using their knowledge which actions to do, what to play well over the course of the game. The game board is composed of 9, 12, or 16 tiles. Depending on the number of players, players sail their ships through the landscape created by this game, landing on islands to plan and build settlements, which then supply resources and allow players to earn victory points. Players might want to invest in cannons to protect themselves from pirates roaming the waters, or acquire progress tokens to gain special advantage.
So only 2 nominations for this game. 2014 Kinderspiel des Jahres recommended, which is basically their nomination, and 2013 Meeple's Choice nominee.
Definitely. Yeah, the still good awards. I mean, I don't think we've
Yeah.
seen any that haven't been nominated for awards, or maybe like 1 or 2.
There's been a couple. There was that Monk game that wasn't.
Oh,
And
that's
then
right.
Anteater game. Both of those weren't nominated for anything.
Yeah, maybe not was the soccer one? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I don't think the soccer one had any nominations either.
Yeah.
There's a few.
So you'll notice this has polyominoes that you can build on the islands, which is already
Of
kind of
course.
interesting. No, don't say of course. He's not the one who does it. That's Uwe Rosenberg who does polyominoes mainly. But
Well, I'm just saying, of course, because Stefan Feld's pretty much done it. He's got a Moncala mechanism, so here's polyominoes.
yeah, why not? A
He
cube
touches-
tower means polyominoes.
So we haven't got to it yet, and it's a little bit further down on our queue. But he does a roll and move game that is just amazing, and I love.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take the helm on that one. It's coming up pretty soon.
It's a couple away.
Yeah.
A few.
let's look at the cube tower. Here's a action shot of it. This is pretty great. He's dropping the cube straight into it. I've seen like some of the floors built and the plastic tray that everything's made of. It looks like a really good quality. I hope it can stay built in the box.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, and that's probably why it's a big box, just to
Probably.
keep that cube tower built.
I want to say there was a picture of everything in the box. Let's see here. Let's see if we can find that while it's loading up. Yeah, I like the way that looks a lot. Honestly, it looks like a really enjoyable thing. Oh no, you have to dismantle it.
Ugh. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But I mean, at least it's just you build the tower itself. The tower itself is separate. I don't think you have to completely dismantle it, but you do have to take the base and the top part off, which I guess makes sense. So that's not too bad.
All right, so moving on to the next one. I own this game.
La Isla, as do I. You and I picked it up, I think, roughly around the same time, and I think you picked it up right after I told you that it was on sale.
Yeah, this is actually the second Stefan Feld game I've ever owned. I own La Isla, but Castles of Burgundy was first. This was second.
All right. Why don't you take the helm on this one?
So in this one, it's interesting. The way this is described is that you find this mysterious island that has creatures that we thought were extinct. So and it's oddly shaped tiles too. So you build the board itself by building these tiles out, or these special tiles. So that are like A, B, or I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's a center pieces and then the outer pieces, and you build up the island. And the way this works is there's 35 animal tokens, 7 of each of the 5 types. There are 5 type of animals. They're placed on random space numbers 2, 3, and 4. Excuse me, on the board game or the game board. These equal the number of camps. On a turn, a player has 3 cards. He plays face down in the A, B, and D spaces on his card display. All players reveal their A cards at the same time, so it's simultaneous action selection in a sense. The image depicted on the top of this card shows the special power the owner of this card has available. Once a player has filled all 3 slots on his or her display, future cards placed with the A action cover an existing card. And then you do the same thing for the B slot simultaneously. The players collect the goods depicted on the lower left corner of that card, specifically to them. And then each player in turn places one of his scientists on a camp, first paying 2 resources of the type matching the camp. If all player scientists are on the board, she moves one of them to one of the scientists to that new camp. If the player now has a scientist on each camp surrounding an animal space, she takes that animal tile, scoring points for it as noted on the board. And then the D slot increases, and this is the reason why I really enjoy it, is that it increases the value of one animal. So you can make one animal the target, basically, and you want to increase it. And that's how my wife kicked my butt. She made the butterfly, the golden butterfly, so powerful. It's like, and I couldn't get to him. Each animal has a point threshold, so that if you move an animal up, say 4 times, each animal of this type is worth an extra point at the end of the game. The scale goes up to 5, so that every animal can be worth up to 5 points at the end of the game. When the sum of these values for all 5 animals equals 7, 9, or 11, based on the number of players, the game ends at the conclusion of that round. Players then tally their final score. I dig this game, and this is for an Elia game, one of their pretty ones.
Yeah, the board definitely pops. I have a picture of it right here. The tokens are really cool. I like how you have to like surround these areas. It's an area control in a way for these different animal types, but I find it very interesting how you're actually controlling it. The bigger the tile, the more points it can potentially be worth. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like a stock market game in a way, where
Yeah, because you're growing the stock basically of the animal, so like the golden butterfly or the dodo and stuff like that, and then you can try to, once you know someone's going after it, you're trying to make the ones that you're going after more powerful.
right, exactly. And this also has my I would say that this has the second neatest board creation. It's hard to tell in this picture of over it, but they have some of the weirdest shaped tiles that kind of overlap each other as
Yeah,
far as
yeah,
like how
no,
they're cut. They're very
it
strange
is.
pieces.
It's a beautiful game. I really enjoy it. Um, Probably middle of the road for Stefan Feld. On the higher end of the middle of the road. Like if I had to rank all the games I own, which is not that many of Feld's right now, I'm getting there, but not that many. Uh, This is probably, I'd rank it behind Notre Dame. I'd rank it behind one we haven't talked about yet, which I mentioned slightly earlier. So yeah, it's probably my least favorite of the ones I own, but that's not saying anything because I love a lot of his games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is super cool. I like this one a lot. And I'm glad I own it. I haven't gotten it to the table in forever. I really need to
Yeah,
do that.
same with me. I want to, but I haven't in a while.
Yeah.
I think I've played it a handful of times in my collection, maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm glad to have it, and I'll never get rid of it just because I want my Feld collection to grow over here.
Right, exactly. All right, here we go. Let's go on to the next one. Aquasphere, which neither of us have played yet.
No, and it's
Yet.
interesting about this one. I think this is Rahdo's least favorite Feld game.
Yeah, no, it was about halfway. It's a lot of people's least favorite. Definitely the Dice Towers. Whoops, I don't own that. I'm gonna add it to my wish list though, just in case. Um, yeah, the idea is that you have a program tech tree, which we'll go over. I'm gonna show you the board here in a minute, but you have essentially a tech tree of what you're able to do. Um, news from the depths. The Aquasphere is a research facility a research facility stationed deep below the ocean's surface, and your skilled team consisting of an engineer, a scientist, reprogrammable bots, and exploratory submarines is trying to gather as much data as possible. The game board in Aquasphere. Wait, hold on. Let me just double check something. This is Tasty Minstrel, so okay, the description isn't too bad. The game board in Aquasphere is two main areas: a research station comprising of 6 sectors in which your scientist conducts experiments, and a headquarters where your science engineer supervises preparation of the bots. During each of the 4 game rounds, you take several turns. On each turn, you either use a engineer in the headquarters to program a bot. Each round, you can choose of the 3 of 7 actions. Have your scientist bring a bot into a sector to perform an action. The Through actions such as improving your lab, sending out submarines, collecting crystals, and examining octopi, you octopuses, I guess. Isn't it
No,
octopi is the
Octopi.
correct?
It's Octopi.
Yeah, so that's just silly.
Yeah.
Um, where was I? You expand the abilities of your team to gather knowledge points, which are necessary to win. Additional challenges result in a limited size of your lab, which which is your personal stock. You can increase the size of your lab, which makes life easier but costs valuable time. Aquasphere is a challenging game of strategy and tactics with different paths to victory that requires planning in advance as well as skillful use of short-term opportunities.
So before we move on, or in more into Aquasphere, we forgot to mention that La Isla was nominated for the 2014 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game.
Oh yeah, yep, we forgot about the nominees. What about the awards that Aquasphere had?
Aquasphere has the didn't win anything. Has a lot of nominees. 2015 International Gamers Award General Strategy Multiplayer nomination. The Gowden Ludo nominee. I'm going to go ahead and open that up real quick to find out what it is. The Cardboard Republic Tactician Laurel nominee. Meeple's Choice nominee in 2014. The Golden Geek Board Game of the Year nomination, as well as the Best Strategy Board Game for the Golden Geek in 2014 as well. So let's see. The Godin Ludo is because these interest me. These different ones. So Godin Ludo is, won't let me see what it is.
Oh.
Usually there's a description, and I didn't. Oh, here it is. It's a Flemish game prize, which is awarded by the Forum Federation, a federation of several Flemish game clubs.
Oh wow. Okay, that's definitely different.
Yep.
So as we can see on this board, the board is really neat looking, and each one has little modules of what you're able to do, and you're moving your cubes or meeples up and down these tunnels to the different modules. But over here on the left side, we see the circular programming board, where it's talking about only certain spaces can go to other spaces and take the appropriate actions, which is where you send your robots. It looks cool. I mean, it's Stefan Feld, and it definitely looks like it. I remember the complaint that I heard from a lot of these is that most of these spots just seem so obvious or like you have less control based on, or compared to many of his other games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only complaint that I've really heard about it though. But otherwise, looks great.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I'd be interested in seeing it, or in playing it. I don't know if it's one of those that need to be a must buy for me.
Yeah, $43 on Amazon as of right now, so that's not terrible.
Well, no, it's not. I'd rather pick up Amerigo for 45 for a couple dollars more. So
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's go on to one of the re-implementations that we've been talking about. I think let's go over these fairly quick because we did briefly touch on them. But Castles of Burgundy, the card game.
So my issue with this one, and I probably will not own this one. It has just almost as much of a footprint as freaking Castles of Burgundy, the regular game. It is such a table eater. And I think you and me both have played the two-player version of this, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I do own it, and that's probably the copy that we played.
Yeah.
But basically, in order to do the actions, you're just trying to get sets of three.
And then your dice in this game basically is you flip a card.
Yep, exactly. So it plays very similar. A lot of the actions are similar. I like how he didn't just make it purely a card game version. It is similar, but it's not an exact copy. And instead of
Yeah.
and putting dice on the cards instead of flipping or rolling dice instead. It
And so later on the list, there's another one that we've kind of touched upon. I prefer that one over this one.
Yeah, definitely. So, but it's a super cool one, and it has mini cards too. That's the thing. It takes up that much space, and they're mini.
It takes up so much space with little cards.
Yeah,
With the Euro cards.
it's so funny. Yeah. So
it has 2 nominations: Golden Geek Best Solo Board Game nominee, as well as the Golden Geek Best Card Game nominee.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely good choices. And thank you to the viewers for showing up. I see that there's a few more viewers than we had earlier. So thanks for tuning in for this. Let's jump over to Jorvik, which we touched briefly on as well, because this re-implemented the Speicherstadt, and Jorvik is the Viking setting of it. Same thing. You are bidding on the different options available. The more workers that are on there, the more that the player in the front of the line will have to pay. So if there's 4 workers, the person who placed their meeple at the front of the line has to pay 4 money, and money is really tight. If they choose to just remove their worker anyway, the next player in line only has to pay 3, and it goes down to somebody either buying it or it just completely getting passed.
Yeah, so this is a game on my radar. I do want to pick it up, especially since on Amazon it's less than 30. So
yeah, I want to see if it says. I don't think it says what the difference is.
It just says the game is a redesign of Die Speicherstadt. In this game, players acquire cards from card display through a simple yet brilliant worker placement and bidding mechanism to build up the trading empire. There's 2 versions in Jorvik, a base game that is equivalent to Die Speicherstadt, and the advanced game that equates to Die Speicherstadt, including its expansion, Kai Speicher.
Yeah, so you can play the full game or the advanced variant, and you're playing both the base and the expansion.
And the base with expansion, yeah.
Yep. Which, in the review that I saw, you can play either of them, but really, like, Tom Vassell of the Dice Tower, he said that if you're just playing the bottom half, you're playing half of the game, and it feels that way. You're only playing half of a game.
I will have to say this is probably one of the prettiest box covers for Stronghold games.
Yes, especially for Stronghold. I mean, not trying to put them down. They do have some pretty box covers. The game itself doesn't look bad either. The cards look decent. I mean, it's a little bland on the board by itself without cards because it's just buildings and like sidewalks leading to the buildings. It's not great, but yeah, it looks great, and I can't wait to get to the table. All right,
moving on to the next one.
Oracle of Delphi. Did you want me to read this one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this one, but this is one that I've been interested in. It's something I've been looking at as well.
Yeah, I mean, the name alone and the theming of it, it's intriguing for sure. So go for it.
So I'm not going to read the description. I'm just going to read how the game plays. The player ships travels across a large variable game board of hexagonal tiles showing islands and surrounding waters. Each player aims to reach certain islands to perform 12 tasks given by Zeus. To collect offerings of different colors, delivered to them corresponding temples, or to slay monsters of a specific type and color of which can be discovered on the islands. And in order to execute these color-dependent actions, you are given 3 colored dice each turn, the so-called Oracle dice. Rolling the dice at the start of the turn is equivalent to consulting the Oracle, whereas the results represent her answer. The answers determine which actions you will be able to take, but will always have 3 actions per turn. However, a slight divergent from your fate is often possible. In addition to the Oracle, you can request support from the gods, you can acquire favor tokens, companions, and other special abilities that help you win the race against the other competitors. Differently equipped ships and variable setup of the game board will offer new, challenging, and interesting strategic and tactical decisions with every new game of the Oracle of Delphi.
Yeah. This one, I mean, the strategy alone, 2016 Golden Geek Best Strategy Board Game nominee, and the 2016 Cardboard Republic Daredevil Laurel nominee. That's a new one for us.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's look at that.
yeah, I'll let you pull that up. I got some pictures that we're going to be showing. Here is looks like the individual player board, like really beautiful custom dice. Looks like this is effectively how you're going to be taking your actions. You have some really great tokens listed or shown here, different colors. They appear to be on clouds at some point. I don't really know what that's about. Here's the ultimate board, though, made up of the hex tiles that they were talking about. Oh yeah, so each player has their own individual board. Um, yeah, that looks really neat. Pegasus Spiel did a great job of the graphic design. Everything I can see here is quite nice looking. Uh, you have a D10. I'm not sure why. One of these things I'm just gonna have to play. I had to put it on my wish list because it looks really interesting and I like the theme a lot.
So you want to hear the description of the Cardboard Republic?
Sure.
Words given out by the Cardboard Republic. That's its description. So I can't find any other information on that.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So cool.
Cool. Well, I mean, or the Cardboard Republic likes it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks really great. I like that custom dice too on it. Those are stunning.
Yeah.
All right.
Very much so.
Without having played it, that's the best we can comment on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty much. I want to get it. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because it's $70.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No.
So let's talk about Castles of Burgundy, the dice game.
This is the one I said I prefer the implementation. It's roll and write. It's really what it is. What's cool about it is I've only played the solo version of it, but there is a way that happens, and I'm looking at the rule, but there's one specific die on die face that allows you to ship if you roll a double, but it increases the time basically. So you're trying to do it within a certain amount of. So it plays in 3 phases, 3 eras, with a certain amount of time on it, and I'm trying to remember exactly what the time is. 5 to 10 rounds per phase.
Okay. 5 to
Because
10
what's going to
rounds
happen
per phase.
is if you're going to be marking it off on your thing. So every time you roll, it's basically up to 10 mark-offs on it. But if you roll that one die where it has like the time face on it, if you roll the double, you're marking 2 spots rather than 1. So if you roll it 5 times, you're going to hit those 10 phases that you don't want.
Right.
But the way this works is you have 5 dice that only one person rolls throughout the entire game. I mean, you can move it around, but it doesn't really matter because it's simultaneous. Everybody's playing at the same time. So what happens is you roll the die, and then you're trying to match the number to a color however the player wants. So if you got a 3 blue, you can use the blue. But specific numbers or colors are required for certain things. So like with the cathedrals, if you want monks, you need to roll a 1 and 2 and match it with a purple. With the mines, you need to roll a 3 or a 4 and match it to a gray. With the shipping, you need to roll a 5 and 6 and match it to a blue color on the die. The yellow ones, or the orange ones are interesting because that's the cities. Your cities have to be all different numbers. So if you have a cluster of 4 cities, you basically want them to go 1, 2, 3, 4. They cannot share the same number. But the opposite of that for the farms is they have to be the same number. So if you're first one there in that farm, is a 6 yellow, you have to roll another 6 and match it with a yellow to put into the farm. And the final ones, of course, are the castles. They need to be equal to one of the numbers surrounding said castle. So if you have like 4 or 5 spaces, you have to at least roll the number that one of those spaces has and match it to the green. So to me, that's a very cool implementation of Castles in Burgundy.
Yeah, I think that this definitely strays from the standard. I don't know if it has any award nominees. I might be wrong. Doesn't
I don't
appear
see
so.
any.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like how much they changed it. I want to rewind for a little bit. We have a comment from NecroDaddy80, and he says, "I like Oracle. Oracle is better than Aqua." He said, "I probably like them both. Aqua is probably the hardest puzzle for me." That's what we've definitely heard. It's that
Yeah.
it's less of a strategy game and more of like just how do I sort these things out to do what I actually want to do, because if I go past this action spot, I don't have the ability to go back. I need to reprogram some stuff. That's definitely what I've been hearing about it.
Yeah, and so for like Castles of Burgundy itself, the dice game, to me, it's one of my favorite roll and writes so far that I own. I own 3 flip and write and 2 roll and writes, and this is the one hands down solo play. I enjoy the mess out of. And what's good about this is while we're all social distancing right now, you can actually play this online over the as long as someone has the pads, and you can download extra pads off or paper off Board Game Geek. There is a thing on there. It's a pain in the butt, but there is. But my plan is I'm gonna give a couple of the sheets to some friends of mine and just have them laminate them. In this way, they can just play as well on the laminated sheets. So we could just do it over because you only need one person to roll the dice.
Yeah, exactly. I think you and I definitely need to play this one day online. We both own it, and so this would be an easy play for either of us, and anybody can join in and play along with us.
And what's neat about this as well, it keeps the Castle of Burgundy rule where when you build something, you have to build around it. So wherever your starting castle is, you have to build around said starting castle.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a brilliant implementation, and I think this is his only roll and write that I'm aware of.
That I'm aware of, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. All right, let's jump on to the next one. Merlin. I'm gonna let I'm gonna let you take this one over because you know it better than I. I have played it the one time with you, and I thought it was phenomenal. Yeah. What do you want to say about it?
So, my thing is with this one, it's the one I was telling you about where it's a roll and move. I think Monopoly. Monopoly is the most famous of the roll and move games. And roll and move is not something that is got a lot of love. People don't like it because you're just basically rolling a die and moving a piece and see what happens. How he made this a point salad is beyond me because there's different things you can do when you're moving the thing. So you have, I think it's 3 dice per, and the dice are basically your worker placement in a sense. So if I roll this, my general color, I'm moving my character clockwise around the board. But if I put my white die in there, I'm moving Merlin around the board. And if you have the expansions, there's a black die that you're moving Arthur around the board. And wherever they land, there's different abilities and different things you can do. You can put your people out there to help you get majority in a certain area. You can collect some resources to help you build on the little mini map. It's just there's so much going on. So you're basically one of the knights of the round table moving around, and Merlin's moving around for you. And the interesting thing about the Merlin token, he can go clockwise and he can go counterclockwise. And you have to use all of your dice. So one way during each round, you're using Merlin. And so there, yeah, as it says here, the multiple ways to score victory points, such as defeating barbarians, building manors in surrounding areas, increasing influence in one of the 6 counties. You can fulfill task cards during their turn to get more victory points. The player who plans his action most efficiently will ultimately have the most points and thus will be royal successor to King Arthur. And that's basically what it is. You're just trying to be a successor to King Arthur. And there's a lot going on there. You have the board pulled up, and it looks busy, but it's real simple because once you look at the board and you find out it's iconography heavy. That's the problem.
Yeah, it is.
And so you got to learn the iconography. But other than that, it's a really good game. I love the artwork in it. It's very colorful. It's a Queen game. In fact, they just did a big box Kickstarter for the newest expansion, which is Morgana. I do have everything up to, including Morgana when it gets sent to me because I did order the big boxes so I can just all put it in one box.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I was very envious when you got this, and you had a Feld that I didn't have.
oh yeah, I really enjoyed this one though. I know you liked it, especially for a roll and move. But it's not just a roll and move. It's majority influence. So you want to try to control areas. It's set collection.
Right.
I enjoy it. It's just one of my favorite Felds. It's probably my third or fourth favorite Feld that I've played.
Well, he did something very smart with this, with the roll and move, and this is why I don't think roll and move as a mechanism is a bad mechanism. I think lack of choice with roll and move is a bad mechanism. So, for example, Candyland, you roll one die, you move one piece, you have no choice, right? Whereas something like an ancient game like Senate or even Parcheesi or Sorry is a modern implementation of it. Um, that is a perfect example of what, since you have multiple pieces, you have multiple options of what to choose. So if I roll a 3 on a die, I have, 3 to 5 pieces that I can move 3 spots forward, and thus why it's good. Since he does the same thing by giving you the Merlin die as well as all of your pieces. Oh, I'm sorry, you only have the one piece, but you have multiple dice. So it kind of flips it on that. It's like, do I want to move my piece 1, 3, or 5 because I rolled a 1, 3, and 5? All of those give you a very meaningful choice.
Yeah,
That's why I think he did a very good job on this, is because like that, giving the player the option for choices is how you do roll and move well. So that's just my opinion though on that. I think it's awesome. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. You covered just about everything on this. It's an amazing game, and I had to put it on my wish list just because I do want to buy it. And I love the theme. Out of every fantasy character ever, Merlin is my favorite, hands down. Of any folklore, any storyline, Merlin. I've always been a huge fan of anything Merlin.
and yet you hate Harry Potter.
Merlin's not in Harry Potter, is he?
He's referenced a lot in Harry Potter.
Well, but that doesn't mean
He's
it's
considered one of the greatest wizards of all time in Harry Potter. They even have swear words based off of Merlin.
okay. That's silly, but I mean, just because it's based off Merlin doesn't mean it's good. I mean, unfortunately, Harry Potter was a miss. This looks amazing though. So that
That's
was.
because you don't like anything nice, though.
Let's not get into this. We're almost done. We've almost survived this long. So that was Merlin. I'll go ahead and take it for Forum Trijanum.
Well,
Which
1 second. Let's take a quick break real quick. This time it's my turn to lead the...
okay, so we're gonna take a quick break. I will do my best to talk a little bit. Or do you want me to just take over Forum Trijanum? Okay, you're leaving anyway, so it doesn't matter. We'll take a quick break. I will leave this recording as one video, so that way he'll have to edit it, just to mess with him. No, he can't hear. I can talk trash, but no. So far, any of our viewers, if you have any other comments that you want to include in these, any of these games look interesting to you, let us know by all means, and yeah, enjoy the excitement with us. I'm going to take a quick break as well. This will just take a second before we jump back into Forum Trajanum. I'm going to pull up a picture of the board as well, so we can see how it kind of looks. So, our viewers, if there's been any that you thought were really neat, what do you think is your favorite game that you've seen thus far that you have not played? And also, which ones have you seen that you really like?
Alrighty, I'm back.
All right, welcome back. All right, so Forum Trajanum. Let's begin with this. First off, Michael Menzel did the art for this. I can understand why people don't like this cover. I like it a lot. I think that's a really neat looking cover. It's very
That's
epic
not
looking.
bad.
All right, let's see here. Necrodaddy said, "I missed your talk about Notre Dame. Sorry, if it wasn't mentioned, that game plays much better at 3+ player." Yes, agree. We did talk about it. It is phenomenal at that. We're going in order of earliest to latest games, and just about
Yeah.
every game of his was listed as notable. So
Yeah, so... No, we do. We both own Notre Dame and both enjoy it, but we agree it needs to be a higher player count.
yeah, agreed. Yeah, it needs to be a higher player count. Two players, just there's not enough. Even though they shrink the board, it's just not enough interaction.
Yeah,
So, Forum Trajanum, I ended up getting this one. This was the first game um, that I got specifically as soon as it was announced that it was a Stefan Feld. I'm like, I'm in, send it, because I want to play it.
yeah.
And so the way it works is fairly simple. I'm just going to give a brief overview. You have a series of tiles on your board. I think 36 tiles ish. No, it's a few less than that. It's like 32 that you will be drawing from. Now, what you do is you pick two tiles, and you are going to keep one of them, and you're going to pass one to your left. So it's a small draft going. I'm sorry, maybe to the right. I forget exactly how it is. Now, the next player gets to choose whether they want to play their tile as an action, or if they want to play yours as an action, which gives them a little bit of a benefit by them choosing yours. So you, of course, want to pick an action that you want to play, but somebody might pass you something better. Plays over three full rounds as you're building tiles onto the central board, taking actions based on what tile you get, and getting different colors of meeples. Each of the meeples has their own ability, whether you can build certain colors of buildings onto your board, whether you trade them in for actions to build up like this engine in a way, or whether you're trying to complete goals, which the goals themselves are based on what tiles you have free on your board. So the tiles that you take off of it, you're going to be building buildings onto the empty spots. So you're clearing out your field and then building buildings onto them. And the way you do that in combination is just really smart. I like how they have how every choice is meaningful as to which tiles you remove from there to draft from, and then that will
Hmm.
decide which actions you get to take. I think it's a really smart game. When I was demoing it, it was fairly mixed reviews. I don't think anybody necessarily hated it, but I remember. I think did I show you this one, Daniel?
Oh yeah. Um, I ain't okay with it. It's not one of my favorites of his. I'm not gonna go out of my way. If I catch it on a deal, yeah, I'll buy it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way for it.
No.
I enjoyed it. It's just it's got a lot going on. It really
Yeah.
does because you got this going on. You're trying to build this, and then you're doing the grid as well, and it's got a lot going on. It's interesting. It takes a couple plays just to get used to how it works, but I did enjoy it. It's just as Necroduddy was saying about Notre Dame. I think you need to play it with more people. Two players. I played it two player, and I think I played it with like four players, and I prefer the four player way better than the two player.
Yeah, definitely. I don't disagree with that. I completely agree that the four player is a better uh four players is better because you just have more of that interaction
Yeah.
and more of the board that you can manipulate with. It's really neat. Overall, I actually really like this game. I probably like it the most out of everybody I showed it to.
Yeah, yeah. No, you probably do.
Yeah, I enjoyed the mess out of it. It's phenomenal. It's worth getting. If you like all those like sprawling choices and you like drafting, then this is the one to go for. All right. With
All
that
right.
being said, was that nominated for any awards? Let's look real quick. Does
I
not
didn't
look
see
like it.
any.
No. All right. Let's go to Carpe Diem. Do you want to take this one? I do own it. I'll be happy to talk about it.
So there's two. Before we get into it, just to let people know, there are two different implementations of it. So in the first edition, you have to do the whole crisscross pattern when you're bouncing your meeple around. In the newer editions, you actually just rotate your character from side to side, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. You go either left or right, which is mathematically the exact same.
Same thing, yeah. The players slip into roles of the rich patricians in ancient Rome. Everyone's trying to build a lucrative city district to score as many prestige points as possible. The novel way to get to the individual buildings of a district, combined with a large variety of scorecards, make for an unusual game with a large number of strategies. That's the description of it. It's actually quite a small description compared to the rest of the games we've talked about. I do enjoy this one. My biggest gripe with it is the colors in this one. For a
Yeah.
colorblind person like myself, this is probably one of the hardest games to get right because you're trying to connect like your grape fields and certain things over certain buildings and trying to get it all proper. This way you
Right.
score the right amount of points depending on what line you're in and what column you're in or column and row you're in. And great game. I enjoyed the mess out of this. I'd rather play this over Forum Trajanum any day of the week. Um, but it's so blah when it comes to colors.
Yeah, the colors was really one of the biggest deterrents for it. I mean, the game itself is great. Like it's a
Yeah.
really fun game. As you can see, I have the first edition picture up here with the star in the middle, and so yeah, you follow one of the two lines, but really that's the exact same thing. Instead of jumping to the other side of the board, you move left or right. Both
Oh,
of them
that's
are the
right. And then
exact
when you
same.
go over there, you choose one of the tiles that's in there, correct, or two?
One of the tiles.
And then so if you're playing a two-player game, if you go into that spot and you take one of the tiles, the other two get thrown out of the game, correct?
Yeah, I don't remember if it's just thrown out of the game. Yeah, that is how it works. So there's always filled with
Because one of
four.
them gets emptied. Yeah.
Yep. And so as soon as two of the tiles, one per player technically, then
Yeah.
the rest get discarded. Same with three
So in a
players.
three-player game, it'd be three. In a four-player game, all the tiles would be
Yep.
selected.
Yeah, and then you can't see it too well in this picture, but there are objective cards over on the side that give you points and other abilities. At certain points during the game, you can actually get those
Yeah.
objectives for points and trade in for stuff. If you don't do it though, then it's negative points.
Yeah.
Here's what we were talking about with the buildings. This board, it does a pretty good job with the contrast, but this light brown, the dark brown, there's different kinds of buildings like these patches right here. In a normal light setting, it is very very difficult for a colorblind person, and that's unfortunate because, I mean, this game's just straight up ugly. It really
Yeah.
is. It's a phenomenal game, but it hurts to look at, and
And
that's true for
that's the
both of
thing
us.
with yeah. So when we joke around like La Isla is one of its pretty games, it's just because a lot of their games they love going with these muted browns and greens, and I'm just wishing they would get away from that. Put some color in these games.
Yeah, yeah, it's not quite as clear as that. There is one thing that I wish that they did with this. If you look at here, there's tiles that have different kinds of buildings on it. All of
Mm-hmm.
the tiles that have different buildings are on the opposite sides. So like this one has a red building top with a green building over here. None of them have like an angle. It's either, if it's at an angle, it's the same color and it combines, or it's across the way from each other, or nothing. And you have to put green matching green. You have to have the buildings touching the same kind, and it's very restrictive. It's not too bad. It's still a phenomenal game. I sound like I'm complaining about it. It's really not bad at all. I just wish that they had the same, like a side angle, like an L shape
Yeah.
with different color buildings. That's a minor thing. Maybe they'll do it for an expansion later on.
Yeah,
But
so it has two nominations, I guess you can say. Spiel de Spiel hit for Expertin recommended, which is we looked it up a while ago. It's the I can't remember, but it's like Netherlands or something like that, or Belgian,
uh
and it's this one is the expert game, and then of course you have the 2019 Kinderspiel des Jahres nomination.
nominee. Yep. Which I think that wasn't Quacks of Quedlinburg. That was Wingspan, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2019 it was Wingspan that won the Kinderspiel.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I mean, I don't blame it for losing to that. I'm glad it was
Yeah.
nominated still. All right. Revolution of 1828. We are in the home stretch. This is the last one that is currently out right now. This is his most recent
Yep.
game that came out from Renegade Games and Pegasus Spiel. This
So
is.
Spiel de Spiel is Austrian.
Oh, okay, cool. Spiel to Spiel. Yeah, this one brought by Renegade Games. It is a two-player only game. It is effectively a tug of war game where you are trying to gain control of different districts in the election. What makes this neat is that each of the tokens that are laid out in each of the regions apply to the different regions. So for example, if I want to win in the yellow region, I'm going to get the politicians that are for that region. I have a picture of the board up here. It's a little hard to see because this has just everything as a gray color, which is true. This is a rendered image of it. But so you
And I
take the
think a lot of
token
it
and you
too is
place it
that
in the
they're trying to
region.
make it like the classic newspaper look.
Right,
That how
exactly.
this election would work.
Because if I'm not mistaken, this election was the first one that actually straight up had smear
Slander
campaigns,
and
slandering, yeah. And you can get the tokens that do that, which give you abilities that, but if you're caught with the majority of them, then that's a penalty for you. Then it's like,
yeah.
wow, look at how much of a jerk you've been. I really dig that little that little twist to it, because you have 5 regions, and then you have a slander option, which you can really get caught off guard by doing it.
Yeah. So again, 2-player game. It's interesting. I want to try it. Again, I was a history major in college, and so stuff like this really intrigues me when they make board games based off historical events.
Yeah, and I feel like this has, you know, it's it's probably one of the most thematic of Stefan Feld games.
That's saying something.
That is saying something, but like I really do feel like that it makes a lot of sense how you're playing, as you're
Yeah.
getting these delegates. Here's a better picture of the colors. You're getting
I'm
these.
not a huge fan of tug of war style games, but again, this is something I'm willing to try.
Yeah, it's Stefan Feld. I know you'd be willing to play
Yeah.
it. All right, so that's Revolution of 1828.
So
So
now we're going to 2 games that are not in print at the moment. They've been announced
yeah,
and don't know when they're coming out, but the last one that we'll talk about, I'm kind of interested in just because of what it is, but this one looks gorgeous.
all right. Let's jump to Castles of Tuscany first then, because this was announced before it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So let's jump ahead. Basically, one thing to say about it. It's a re-implementation of Castles of Burgundy.
It's believed to be a re-implementation of Castles of Burgundy, but
Right.
no one knows yet. Even on the description, is a standalone game that might resemble Castles of Burgundy.
In some
So
way. Yeah.
yeah, so we don't know. The cover is gorgeous.
Yep. Yep, exactly. They just brought it up real quick. It says right here, Castles of Tuscany and Puerto Rico game teasers, and they just showed the cover, very minimalistic. That what Alea is now trying to do, which I'm glad they made that choice. That looks so good.
Yes. Yeah, I like it. I'm interested in it, of course. Even if it's a re-implementation of Castles of Burgundy, and it's prettier, then I'm down.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's worth buying. I might not buy it just because uh, I own Castle of Burgundy with plenty of expansions. So,
Yeah,
but as you
same.
can see, it's already on my wish list. I didn't even have to select it this time.
Yeah, no, I'm interested. I want to see more about it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see as more announcements come out. We'll keep that up. And Bonfire. What do we know about Bonfire? This is a brand
So
new
the
announced one.
description in here is bonfires are a source of light, energy, and warmth created by the guardians of light in order to brighten the cities and otherwise dark planet. The residents of the cities, however, took the bonfires for granted and exploited them for personal gain. Disappointed, the guardians of light retreated and let the bonfires extinguish. The citizens could no longer live in the now dark cities and were forced to leave. You are a group of gnomes living close to the cities. You also need the light of the bonfires. Missing it now, you try to yourself to visit the cities and learn how to ignite the bonfires. Once again, you must visit the Guardians of Light on their holy island and ask for a task to prove your goodwill. For each completed task, they will reignite one extinguished bonfire. Whoever managed to earn the greatest trust from the Guardians and managed to brighten their city with the most will win the game. The engine for the game are 3-color tiles you will be puzzling onto your player board. When you manage to place the same colors adjacent to one another, you will receive more action tiles of that specific kind. You will allow you to specialize in certain types of actions and pursue different strategies. You can use the tiles to perform the following actions. Move your ship to an island, receive a task from an island by spending 2 resources, invite a guardian of light into your city, trigger a procession of guardians through the city and gain resources, add a landscape tile to your city. This is where the position takes place. Recruit a gnome gaining a special ability or victory points. Find support by the last bonfire gaining portals, resources, or action tiles. You will play in turn order until a fixed number of tasks have been solved, after which each player has 5 more turns. During final scoring, you will receive points for your completed tasks, the bonfires, and any improvements made there in portals, landscape, guardians.
Yeah, that sounds straight up Feld. I love the design on this. I pulled up the board right here, as you can see. The board has, a series of islands that are connected through waterways, which you can tell. But I don't know quite what this thing is in the middle. It's like a sundial. It looks almost.
That's the intriguing part to me, because you got your own little player boards, as you can kind of see on the picture, but the sundial, just, it's interesting. I wonder if you're turning it, or And
Yeah,
where the shadow touches is a certain thing. I'm not exactly sure because they don't really go into much description.
right.
But yeah, I'm intrigued by this, and just the cover art alone is amazing looking.
Yeah, yeah, it's they're definitely stepping this up. I looked at the I have the player board right here, and I see like it's like triominoes almost, or like they're like dominoes, but they're 3 spots long, and you can see
Yeah.
how you lay down the tile and how each of them correspond to each other based on how you place it. So this is going to be interesting because I
So
know
who is printing this? This is
Pegasus Spiel.
Pegasus Spiel. Yeah. Okay. That's why it's so pretty. I'm like, I'm glad Alea didn't get this one.
Oh, that's harsh to put them down like that. I
But
like
look how pretty this. Imagine if this was Alea. It would be all muted colors. This deserves
right.
that kind of pop.
It really does. It really does. And it looks like it's probably 2 to 4 players, I'm guessing. It
And it says here 1 to 4, and it's roughly around 70 to 100 minutes play.
okay, so it's going to be one of his bigger ones. It doesn't look super heavy, but it definitely looks in his style of how you place tiles down. And
Yeah.
so I can see right here, even though you have the 3 colored tiles that you put down, I see some extra tokens that also have symbols. So maybe you might be acquiring and placing smaller tiles onto your board as you restrict what
So
you're
my
able to
wonder
place.
for this game is, I bet you this is supposed to be released at Essen, but Essen just got canceled for the year.
Right, exactly. So I wonder what when they are going to release it. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah, because
question.
this to me looks like, especially with the pictures of the board and stuff like that, means they already got production copies, which I think means this was supposed to be ready to be released around Essen.
Hey, take a look at this. The player boards, they have like this long tile with a whole series of actions on it, but it looks like your 3 tiles kind of slide in there. I wonder if you, when you place a certain tile, you get a certain bonus action, or maybe that's the cost. This is all
It might be because
speculation.
I know it says you need to build like gift guardians to give you resources and use those resources to give you certain things. So I wonder, like the ships allow you to move your ships, and then of course you have like the little guardians.
Uh huh.
So it's interesting because even like the thing, it says it falls under puzzle. So there's a bit of a puzzle to this, and I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, this is super intriguing. I mean, I had
Yeah,
not heard about it prior to today,
yeah,
and
same.
yeah, I'm 100% in. I'm gonna add this to my wish list just in case, so that way I can hear more about it. But it looks like they're already doing demos of it from Pegasus Spiel, and yeah, as soon as it's out, that's gonna be on my radar.
Yep, this is going to my wish list as well.
All right. It looks fairly complex though.
Yeah, which is fine by me. I love complex games. I just don't know how often it would, be played.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, with that being said, that finishes up our review on our board game breakdown, a pretty expansive one of Stefan Feld.
Yep. So out of the games that we've talked about and that I own, I would say Castle Burgundy is my number one, Trajan's my number two, and Merlin is probably my number three.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Castles of Burgundy is up there. Um, yeah, probably Trajan number 2. Hmm. As far as number 3 though, I would almost say Forum Trajanum. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Then,
One of the few.
yeah, one of the few. Then uh, probably Carpe Diem.
I
And
would put Notre Dame at 4 and then Carpe Diem at 5.
yeah, that's true. I'm probably gonna put Builder's Duel, Pillars of the Earth, as my number
Nice.
5. Yeah, I like that one a lot as well. And
So
then
the ones I own Castles of Burgundy, the dice game Castles of Burgundy, La Isla, Merlin, and Notre Dame. Those are the main Feld games that I own of his.
the ones I own are Pillars of the Earth, Builder's Duel, Trajan. Um, I'm looking over my list.
Forum
Forum
Trajanum.
Trajanum. Yep. And then I have Carpe Diem, Notre Dame, Castles of Burgundy, La Isla, in the Year
Well,
of the
you got
Dragon,
Castles of Burgundy, the dice game, the card game,
the
and
dice game and the
Castles of
card
Burgundy.
game, and Revolution 1828 and Jorvik, which are both on my shelf of shame. Haven't played them yet.
And you got Amerigo on the way to go on that show.
And America's on the way. So I probably have more than half.
So he
Which,
stated, "I bet Oracle would be up there if you both played it." Yeah, no, it probably would. We looked at it. It is a game on my wish list. I just haven't pulled the trigger of buying it yet.
yeah, exactly. It's one of those, like, we try to buy on sale with as many board games as Daniel and I buy together. Uh,
Yeah.
we you gotta wait for the sale for it. But so I might
And a
end up
big
doing
thing
that.
too is with us is when it comes down to it, I try not to buy board games that other people in my board gaming group already own, just to keep my collection on a smaller side because I don't have that much shelf space.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is on my wish list.
Out of all of these that we read about today, not including Castles of Tuscany or Bonfire, because they're not out yet, which ones are your top to get to buy?
So one is Oracle Delphi. That is one that, or for me to buy, Trajan's one. I want to
Oh
own
yeah,
Trajan.
yeah,
I
or
haven't owned it yet, but
ones that you
taking that
haven't
out of
played.
account,
Yeah, yeah.
it's Oracle Delphi is one that I really want. Bora Bora is another one that I really want, and probably Jorvik. But I'm going at the list. Maybe Macau.
Me and Macau. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say mine is probably Bora Bora, um, or
Oh no, Bruges.
maybe
Bruges is the
Bruges.
other one I want.
Yeah. Although Strasbourg did look really neat, and Luna as well. Maybe
Oh
it's
yeah,
just the
Luna looks
art
pretty
on
good too.
Luna. Oof. But yeah, Merlin is probably the one I want to buy the most, but that because I played it and I already know
Yeah.
I like it.
Out of the ones I haven't played, Bora Bora, Oracle Delphi, and
Macau.
yeah, I think Macau.
Although I'm curious about Roma too. I like two-player back and forth card games.
Yeah, my thing is I try to avoid getting two-player games just because my wife doesn't play two-player games, so she doesn't. She only plays every so often when we get with other groups.
Yeah. Now you definitely want Dribble Fiber, don't you? Like the soccer one. That's
I
up there.
want to try it honestly. If I could find a deal on it or find it like at a resale shop, yeah, I'll probably pick it up.
Yeah. Let's ask our viewers. Necrodaddy, I thank you for joining in on this. Is there any of those that you don't have that looked interesting to you? Hopefully, we provided you a bit of an outlook on that. Um, and yeah, with that being said, today, right now, we have 10 viewers. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Um, Necrodaddy, thanks for joining in on the discussion. As always, we appreciate it. Let's wrap this up and talk about what we're talking about later in the week.
Alrighty, so Wednesday on our Chits and Giggles part of the podcast, we are going to be talking about the most influential designers in our opinion. And what we're talking about here is not what our favorite designer is, but our most who we think is influencing the gaming as of now or has done it. This one we're going to do basically 5 designers in no particular order, just where we think the influence is and stuff like that. Yeah, whether it's something that draws me in or something that I think they do in board gaming itself.
Yep. And I think I'm going to kind of go on the outlook of I am a designer as well. I'm curious to see which games really affect my design, but which ones I feel like have had the most impact in the industry. So that'll be on Wednesday for our Chits and Giggles. Next Friday, the 22nd, we'll be doing our top 8 debate for top 8 crowd-funded games. So if you have not done it or have not seen one of those top 8 debates, come join us in for our debate, and we argue which are the best of those. We do have a few rules. First off, we take the top ranked on Board Game Geek, and we both have had to have played it at least
And
once
have a good understanding of
and
it.
have a good understanding. And so we'll debate to see which ones of those we feel are the best, and we will rank them from 1 to 8. And with that being said, that covers it. We don't have our plans for next week yet, which we'll be discussing very soon. So this has been one long podcast, a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, so this is going to be a nice chore for people to listen to.
Yeah, but if you've stuck to it, you're a legend, and you rock. So thank you for joining in. As always, I've been Danny.
And Daniel.
and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.